I think leadership in education is about trying to bring the best out of everybody, and it's about creating that culture where everyone feels they can step up to be their best. So sometimes that can be modelling to teachers how they can be really great. Sometimes that's giving permission to teachers about trying new things, being better than they are at the moment. Sometimes it's saying to people, stop, we're doing too much, let's just concentrate on the 3 or 4 things that matter. But I think a big part of it is about creating the right culture.
So we're here at St Stephen's Catholic Primary School in the heart of Westminster. We're here to interview and meet Simon Atkinson, a remarkable and inspiring head teacher and leader. I met Simon about 3.5 years ago when we started delivering the music curriculum here, and this school is oozing with creativity, charisma and character. I'm really looking forward to meeting Simon and finding out more about his thoughts on collaborative leadership, how leaders connect to inspire not only their own school, but the whole community as a whole. Come on in and enjoy the show. Simon Atkinson.
Hello.
The legend. So let's start off with a few quick fire questions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say a word or a phrase and just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Ready? Friends.
Food.
Parents.
Love.
Family.
Warmth.
Holiday.
Sun.
Nice. Children.
200 of them.
Good number. Leadership.
Challenging.
Who inspires you?
Oh gosh. The children I work with every day, and the teachers I work with, and the adults in this school.
Culture.
Positive.
Ethos.
Caring.
Vision.
Broad.
Technology.
Everywhere.
Love it. Technology is everywhere, and that's certainly something that we're gonna touch on today. So take us back a little bit. Take us back and tell me what was school like for you, starting from primary school.
Oh goodness. I went to primary school in northwest London.
That's where I went to primary school.
Yeah. I'll
What
ask you
part?
off. Cricklewood.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And I remember infant school being just, I can remember friends, I can remember playing, I can't remember much learning, but we must have done some.
We must have done
some. I can remember assemblies, the head teacher, and I'm still in touch with her.
Wow,
yeah.
amazing.
Nativity play, those kind of things. Secondary, junior school, yeah, still remember the friendship group I was in. Residentials, so going to Bude in Cornwall. Yeah, but you know, I can't remember a maths lesson or an English lesson.
No, neither can I. How did you manage to stay connected with your head teacher?
My mum worked at the infant school after I was there, and she stayed in touch with her, and then just Christmas cards have followed, and then yeah, saw her during the last year. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah,
and was he or she one of your most inspiring teachers at school, or?
She was a constant. Yeah, so she was always there. She was quite old school. You got told off if you were naughty. She had her dogs in the school. She used to go to her office and see her dogs. Just a bit of a character. Yeah.
It's always those teachers with character that we often remember, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those teachers with charisma that sort of stand out in the crowd. So how did things progress from there? What was high school like for you? And
high school was, it was fun. I was a kid that worked hard. Always did pretty well. Always in back then the top set or near the top.
What was your favourite subject?
Chemistry.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Loved it. Did GCSE. Did A level. Yeah. Just found it easy. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You found it easy.
Yeah.
Wow. A-grade student straight away through.
I got A level, yeah. Yeah, it's bizarre. I just found I could learn it, understand it, had a really good teacher. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Just great.
Amazing. Was there any other subjects that that sort of resonated with you?
Probably all the sciences. So, I did biology A level as well, did maths A level, did physics GCSE.
Kind of explains the tech.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. And then how did you get into headship? Was that something that you always wanted to do, or something that you more like fell into?
It's really odd. When I trained as a teacher, I had a really good friend who was a head teacher, and she told me never to become a head.
Wow.
I didn't come into teaching thinking, yes, I'll definitely be a head teacher. Didn't come in thinking I definitely wouldn't be a head teacher. I worked in a fantastic little school in County Durham when I was an NQT and for the year after, and the head there was someone that encouraged me to think about leadership and say, look, you've brought all this stuff with you into teaching. Where can you go with this? What could you do with your skills? And she encouraged me to apply for sort of middle leaders posts quite early on.
Great.
And then from then came to a school in London where things just seemed to happen quite quickly, and found myself as an assistant head within a couple of years.
Fantastic. So what was it that inspired you to get into teaching in the first place?
The children. I worked a lot with children before, and my job let me go into schools quite a lot, and I found I really enjoyed that side of things.
What job was that?
I was a full-time parish priest.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And was vice chair of governors of one school, and was in the school all the time, and it was that side of things that really excited me.
Yeah.
So trained as a teacher, and yeah.
And then do you miss that side of being with the kids every day, or?
Yes, I must admit there are times you think, and you're in here and you're ploughing through figures for somebody else. I think I would love to be back in the classroom teaching.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's been 10 years since I was a Year 6 teacher, so
yeah. Wow.
Things
and
moved on.
What's the big difference between where you were before, in terms of it being in Durham and being in the heart of the city here in Westminster?
Things are very different. County Durham, everything it was a small village. Things were there for the children in the village in terms of families were very close to the school, but the children had not a lot beyond the boundaries of the village, so they didn't leave the village. It was quite a downtrodden former mining community, third or fourth generation unemployed. Aspirations were quite low.
Sure.
School did really well, got great results, but even providing a simple opportunity like a trip out, you had to plan really hard, whereas in London we've got, obviously we're on the tube line, we've got access to the city centre, tubes and buses are free for London children when you go through the Mayor's Travel Scheme. You've got the Victoria and Albert Museum is down the road, Natural History Museum. All that London can offer in terms of culture and diversity is here, and it's a very exciting place to be, and a very exciting place for children to grow up.
And is that what are the things that you're encouraging here as head teacher at St Stephen's that are celebrating that diversity, that culture? Tell us more about that.
I think our curriculum tries to do that. We try to let the children be themselves, to tell their own story, to value their family background, their cultural background, their linguistic backgrounds, and to bring that all to the table in terms of their learning.
Yeah, sure. I know you did something in terms of World Book Day the other day. How was that?
It's next month.
Ah, it's coming up. It's coming up.
It's coming up. It's coming up. It's on the website already, and it's flagged, isn't it? Yeah, I think we're for World Book Day. We are each class has got a book that's a theme. They're coming in dressed as characters or something to do with that book, and then what we always do is the adults will choose a book and will read, and the children can choose which adult they go and hear read that day, so they're not stuck in their class groups. They can go and hear the Year 6 can go and hear the nursery teacher read their favourite book.
Love it. And are you dressing up as any?
I've not decided yet. Harry Potter's been too well used by me, so I need to find something else this year.
Something fascinating.
Yeah.
So tell us your sort of philosophy on leadership. You've been a head teacher here for how many years?
I've been here 3.5 years.
3.5 years. And what's your philosophy on leadership?
I think leadership in education is about trying to bring the best out of everybody. And it's about creating that culture where everyone feels they can step up to be their best. So sometimes that can be modelling to teachers how they can be really great. Sometimes that's giving permission to teachers about trying new things. things, being better than they are at the moment. Sometimes it's saying to people, stop, we're doing too much, let's just concentrate on the 3 or 4 things that matter.
Sure.
But I think a big part of it is about creating the right culture.
Yeah, yeah. And what's been your proudest moment in creating that culture?
Oh my goodness.
Or one of?
I think we were 160 years old last year, and we had a big celebration as a school, and the bishop came to visit, and that was really fascinating because her visit shone a light on the school at that particular moment in time. And it's really good having another pair of eyes who isn't an inspector, saying, you know, I've met your children and the values of this school shine through. So the importance of community shines through, and the importance you place on friendship and forgiveness shines through, because we can try and build in things that encourage that within the children, but it's really difficult to measure. And just have that single moment where somebody was saying that, where the celebration was awesome, where the music was fantastic, and people commenting on the music, and the feedback was that that event gave people hope. And I think for someone to say that is just so special.
How important is the creative curriculum here at St Stephen's for you?
I think hugely. There's still a lot of work to do, but I think we've pushed a lot of time and energy into music, and the children enjoy music, they flourish in music, they enjoy singing, they enjoy performing, and the quality of that has changed astronomically in the last 3 years.
And what would you say to, I don't know, maybe a new head teacher or a head teacher that had a sole focus on sort of numeracy and didn't want anything to do with a creative curriculum?
I think there are always times to focus on the basics, and often you have to because needs must, and very often that's what parents will hold you to account for. It's what the inspectorate used to hold you to account for. There's sort of green shoots on the horizon with this really positive suggestion. They'll look at the whole curriculum, how you plan your curriculum. And I think we have to remember that not every child flourishes in that tight academic environment. So to have a focus on the creative curriculum means that children who have those abilities can develop them further, and the other children can discover that they can enjoy singing, that they can enjoy making music, and art and other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see you've got Teach Like a Champion over there. Is that something that you've read? And
I've dipped into it.
Okay,
great.
It's
a big book.
It is,
I think it's, you take one strategy at a time and have a look at it. I think had I had that as a classroom teacher, I'd have been really excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's something that teachers can definitely take away and implement step by step. It's quite powerful. And what's your so we spoke about leadership and your philosophy on that, and I noticed that, you know, one of the things that I love about coming to this school is like your office and the tech that is in this building is just remarkable. Tell us about what you use for tech and how you implement that throughout your school.
I think when I arrived at the school, I said to the teachers, if I had a magic wand, what would you want? And they said, we'd want whiteboards that work, we'd want computers that don't take 45 minutes to switch on. And so we did put a big investment into that. So they've all got flat screens in their flat panels in their rooms. They've all got relatively new computers that should start very quickly. We've got tablets, we've got Chromebooks, and the big thing about that was it wasn't about just having new display devices, it was having new ways of opening that learning out. It's about making a good teacher an even better teacher, and improving the quality of the interactions that are taking place. So on the software we use, and we use Smart, we use the interactive games, we have the children collaborating on pieces of work across their Chromebooks and things like that.
How does that work? Does it synergize across 2 devices?
It does, or they it's called Smart Amp, and I don't know an awful lot about it, but you speak to my year 4 teacher and my year 2 teacher are both Smart exemplary educators now, so they've been trained up, they really understand how it works, then they act as models to the rest of the teachers.
Fantastic. And tell us about this and how that operates.
It's an interactive whiteboard, so it means if we have a meeting in here, we can be looking at documents on there. We can use the pens and mark the documents up if we want to. If we're feeling really flash, we can share our meeting remotely as well. If somebody can't be here, you can send the meeting to them as well. But it's just a way of being able to use the computer in a way that everyone is talking and collaborating and not having to do their own little piece of work.
Great. And you've clearly done a remarkable job here at St Stephen's, and throughout that journey I'm sure you've gone through some challenges. What was the biggest challenge that you faced so far, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge for us as a school was probably the Grenfell Tower tragedy, because we were deeply affected in that. A staff member was very personally affected by that. Actually lots of the children were as well. It's only a mile away, and we can see it from our rooftop playground. So I think that it really shook the whole community that something like that could happen to someone we know and to other people that were sort of friends of friends as well. And I think what it did though is bring us together as a group of adults in the school who wanted to reach out and help the person that was affected, but also helped us to focus the children as well, because it became a very, not inward-looking time, but a very thoughtful time. And there was, it was about helping children to walk probably a very spiritual journey and allowing them to access their deepest thoughts, to express that in different ways. We had prayers written on post-it notes and stuck up in our library and things like that. Not ever a thing you can plan for. You can have a policy on that kind of thing, but actually on the day it's, how do we step up to this? How do we make time to react in a really positive way, an appropriate way?
And I presume there's a lot of collegiality and togetherness within that.
Yes, a huge amount, yes.
And we spoke briefly before the camera started rolling about the collegiality within the Westminster cluster, and how you've got really good friendships with a lot of heads.
I think Westminster and the Northwest cluster in Westminster is probably the closest group of professionals I've ever worked in.
Wow.
We're a group of 9-10 schools, and heads are very happy to email all the others to say, I don't know the answer to this, anyone got any advice, what have you done about this? It's that, nobody thinks even 10 years into the job that you've got all the answers, and everybody's very helpful and comes back to you, and it's fun as well. That's important.
Which always helps, right? Absolutely. That's one of the things that I was always curious about when I started J&C, was we know all of these head teachers and none of them are connected, and schools back then were very, very isolated, and the school wouldn't know the school 2 minutes down the road, and it could be, and when we came in, they was like, oh, that person over there, could you introduce us? Because it was such like a game changer for them. And I really like how schools nowadays are collaborating so much more. I still think there's a way to go.
Totally.
Schools now are collaborating and integrating a lot more, which is helpful. Is there anything in particular that's helped your journey within that cluster, within that sort of friendship, within that network?
I think for us, it's just as a school about being open to being part of it, and I think it's been the openness of the other members of the cluster to welcome new heads in, to make sure they know what's happening, and it's other heads in my first couple of weeks picked up the phone and said, there's a really important meeting on Tuesday, I'll come with you.
Right.
Just those tiny little things that actually, when you're going into a new place, even as a head, you might not like going into a room full of people that you don't know. All those things happen. People make sure you're sort of in the right place at the right time. And we'll check in on you if you don't turn up to something. Because they know that we all get busy, we get snowed under. Very often, if someone's not there, there's a good reason for it, and they might just need that 5 minutes on the phone. Really, really helpful.
And what would you say? How would you describe the staff culture here at St Stephen's?
Loud.
Love it.
They're an interesting bunch to train, because they enjoy interacting so much it can bubble over. They're a really positive bunch. There's no sense of them and us between teachers and teaching assistants.
Fantastic.
It is very much focused on the children. They're also very aware of the context they work in. So we've recently been looking at our vision statement as a school, and they were very clear. They wanted to root it in what it means, not just to be a school, not just to be a Church of England school, but this school in Westbourne Park at this time.
How did you go about implementing that? Because that can be quite challenging to implement.
Yeah, we're midway through at the moment, so we talked to governors about what they wanted and what was important for them. We talked to staff about what they wanted, and some common thread sort of came out, and then we've gone away and written a draft, and that draft is in the process of going back. The staff have seen it and love it. Don't ask me to repeat it. And then that's going to then go to governors for approval. So it's taken probably a good 6-7 months as part of the process, but I think that's right to get it just right.
Yeah. And how many staff do you have here?
About 34.
Yeah, quite a number. Okay, great. And you're a one-form entry, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great, fantastic. I'm going to ask you a few short-fire questions. So yeah, just say your thoughts. Sort of the first thing that comes to your mind. Favorite book?
Oh my goodness. So am I allowed to say Nigella's Domestic Goddess?
Wow.
Because I love cooking.
Okay, love it. What do you love about cooking?
Cooking time for me is just time out. It's
time out from tech.
A little bit, but I might be saying, Alexa, give me a 5-minute timer.
I like that. I
might have the iPad on with the recipes on. Yeah,
integration.
But I think it's creative. It's performing to an audience, whether that's one other person or 5 or 6. But I think it's just using a totally different skill set. Yeah, and I like that. Yeah,
it's very focused.
Yeah,
cooking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Favorite holiday destination?
Cornwall.
Wow. Why is that? I'm very, very curious.
Have you been?
No.
You see, if you go, you'll agree with me. It's calm, it's peaceful, the scenery is stunning. It can be a bit busy in the summer, but there aren't endless streams of blocked roads. It's just, it's Britain at its best.
It sounds very calming.
Yeah.
Great. What's been your most joyful moment as a school leader?
I think probably it's back to the bishop's visit last summer, last November. Yeah. And it's that external affirmation and actually the celebration itself and the children and the singing. Yeah.
What is it that wakes you up every morning and inspires you?
The idea, it's corny, but it's the idea that the job we do makes a difference. And it can, if one day makes just one child's life a little bit different, then it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you describe your relationships with your colleagues, with your community here at St Stephen's?
I think we've got a really warm relationship. Our parents are very quick to approach us with issues and problems, and in a very in a way that shows they trust us. And I think that's really important, because it's very easy as a school, particularly a school serving a community with a lot of deprivation, to be the school that is wagging the finger and saying you must do this, you must do that, and being the parent figure. And I think we try hard not to be. There are times where we may need to be, but I think we try and get alongside people and walk with them.
How do you what's a tip or the skill that you would implement to sort of galvanise that trust? I know that's something that I found difficult in the past, and a lot of people will.
I think be visible. Be on the gate. We're lucky we've got one gate in, one gate out. So I learnt that from my first head teacher in London, is that somebody, preferably the head or the deputy, should be on that school gate every morning. And I know people say to me, is it not a waste of time? Actually, no, because just that simple good morning, you're setting the tone. And actually, if you greet a parent and say good morning, and they were probably possibly coming in to tear a strip off somebody, then that can actually alter the course of that happening. But it also means you're putting that that money in the bank each day with them, with the good mornings, that when they need to see you about something, you've already got a tiny spark of a relationship there.
Is that from the same narrative from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? That sort of that emotional deposit.
Emotional deposit,
yeah. Fascinating book.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was speaking to Jeremy Hannay about it the other day as well, and he was like, "The 7 Habits is really good, but Jazz, you've got to get the 8th habit." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I need to." I went on Amazon like that 8th habit. Yeah, got it. Fantastic. And if you were launch padded in as the inspector for schools or the chief inspector of schools, what is it that you would change about education?
I think if I had the chance to alter the inspection process, I would get rid of the outstanding grade. Because I think every school should be checked as whether it's giving a good level of education and then freed to become an excellent school in its own context. And what's excellent here isn't excellent elsewhere. And it's about what is reflective of this in the context. I think the current framework is just too constraining, and people go down this tick box culture.
Yes.
I think I have to do these 5 things to get to outstanding. Whereas, no, you need to do what's best in your context for your children.
Absolutely, and every school is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always wondered about why they call it outstanding, because to be outstanding means to stand out, which almost has an undercurrent of, well, every school shouldn't stand out.
Yeah.
Which is why I kind of prefer words like excellent and that sort of thing, because every school can excel. But if only a certain percentage is targeted to be outstanding, otherwise, if everybody's outstanding, then it doesn't really become outstanding. But if everybody's excellent, that's become perfectly normal.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Strange. Who made that?
Somebody 20 years ago. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm sure there's probably a reason for it, which maybe I've not thought of. But yeah, it's just something that crossed my mind quite a lot. And final question. So if you had any parting words of advice for a head teacher that's just about to step into headship, that really wants to make an impact in the world, what would be the sentence or departing statement that you would leave with them?
I think to build up your own support community and make sure you use that at every step of the way, not just on the bad days as well as the good days. Because I think there are times where we can be quite protective as a profession. We don't like to show our wounds and our bruises to other people, but actually in a school as a head teacher is quite lonely. You need those people outside of your school that you can pick up the phone to and just say, it's not going well today. Can I have a coffee, a glass of wine, a chat, or it is going well, I want to tell you about it, because I think those groups, that collegiality is what will keep you going.
It's connected learning, isn't it? And it's a little bit like what we said when we were discussing black box thinking. And it's about, yes, it can be very isolated, and yes, it can be very sort of lonely, and it's how you break out of that and how you develop a culture around development, as opposed to, oh, you've done the wrong thing, or feeling like you can't speak out if you feel like you've done something wrong, you're not quite clear on something. Simon, it's been absolutely incredible to speak with you and to learn more about your story, your journey, and I'm sure that you've inspired a lot of people out there, so thank you very much.
Thank you.